when we're laying on our deathbed, you're not going to worry about how much money you had, how much power you had, how much prestige. You're going to see that that was all game, that that was all an illusion. The only thing that's going to matter is the impact you had on other people's lives.
We are all on a separate journey. But the beautiful thing about our life here on this earth is at my funeral, they ain't going to talk about my success. They're going to talk about who Nick was and how Nick lived and how Nick loved and encouraged.
Success is incredibly important, but even more important than success, it's having an impact. It's knowing you haven't walked the planet in vain. It's knowing that because you've been here, you've blessed lives, you've developed people, and you have made the world a better place.
The effect you have on others is the most valuable currency there is. Everything you gain in life will rot and fall apart, and all that will be left of you is what was in your heart.
Life is a mirror, and life gives us not what we want. Life gives us who we are. When you were born, you cried while the world rejoiced. Live your life in such a way that when you die, the world cries while you rejoice.
Have you ever stopped to wonder about the soul behind the spotlight? The truth behind the headlines? Beneath every glamorous facade lies a story waiting to be told. A journey full of triumphs, struggles, heartaches, and victories. Welcome to People, the groundbreaking new series here on the Alpha Warrior Show. Tonight, we're setting politics aside. No hidden agendas, no filters, just pure, raw humanity. In a world that constantly tries to categorize us, it's easy to forget what binds us together. Our shared experiences, our laughter, our tears, and the authentic moments that define who we truly are. Each week, we're going to explore the powerful, emotional, and beautifully imperfect lives of people who inspire us, captivate us, and remind us that we're all in this incredibly messy and extraordinary journey together. We'll laugh, we'll reflect, and we'll dive deep into the stories that often go untold, unapologetically, real, and deeply personal. Get ready to meet the heart behind the headlines, the reality behind the reputation, the persona behind the person, the grit that makes these amazing people tick. This is People, real stories, real connections, real life. And when we come back from this commercial, it's showtime, and I hope you enjoy. Introducing Silent SLNT. Empower your right to disconnect with SLNT Faraday cage bags. In a world where tech never sleeps, our mission is to keep you safe, private, and healthy. Our patented technology shields your devices from hacking, tracking, and EMF radiation, giving you the autonomy over your digital life. Disconnecting sparks creativity, strengthens relationships, and brings peace of mind. With Silent, you get effortless gear built with integrity, always staying one step ahead to protect your data and security. Choose Silent and reclaim your freedom to disconnect. Visit badlandsmedia.tv/Faraday and use promo code Badlands to snag your 10% discount. That's badlandsmedia.tv/Faraday, promo code Badlands. And with your favorite Badlands show wraps up without a raid, visit Badlands website to explore your incredible sponsors. From products featured on the show to kickstarting your shopping list, the Badlands shop has you covered. Every purchase you make is a powerful vote for the future you believe in. We make it easy to shop America first, supporting Badlands creators and patriot small businesses that champion freedom. You're not just buying a product, you're fueling a movement with every dollar. Thank you for supporting businesses that support Badlands Media. Head over to badlandsmedia.tv and click shop from the menu, or go directly to badlandsmedia.tv/shop. And with that, folks, it is time for the show. Very, very special guest. It's been a very long time since I've had a chance to have her on the show. And the last time we had the show, it was amazing. And now we're going to get to learn a little bit about her and her story. Who am I talking about? Let me bring her on the screen. I am talking about Kaity, Defender of the Republic. How you doing, ma'am?
I am so honored to be here, Alpha, and I love you, but Jerome is my favorite. I thought he was going to be here tonight.
I've gotten so many messages from that, so many content ideas that people have been sharing regarding Jerome. And one of my best friends, if not me, my best friend, the best friend, gave me a call this morning, and he's just like, "Hey, you're still kind of talking like it." I'm like, "It's
You were all in character, nonstop.
just like, yeah, I'm straight up still in character." We had a good time. There's some people that are going to be triggered by that, and that's expected. I get it, but I just remember, I'm an '80s baby. And I remember, even getting into the '90s, with Eddie Murphy and some of these guys, like jokes that push the envelope, whether it was racist, misogynistic, whatever the case, it was hilarious because there wasn't hate or anger behind it. It was humor. It was taking the exaggerations of our cultures have and spotlighting them. And in the military, I mean, listen, if people thought Jerome was crazy, go hang out in the military for a while and you'll be like, do these guys hate each other? No, it is absolute love.
I'm so tired of a culture where we can't make fun of each other, ourselves. I make fun of myself all the time. Right? So when people make fun of me, I think it's great. And the fact that people get so easily offended by everything is so not fun. So I wish like we could bring back funny comedy where we can do that.
All I can say as we leave that and get into the next one is you guys better buckle up for the next one. It just, man, it is going to be something. So Kaity, let me ask you this. And how far we go back and how personal you want to get my audience knows completely up to you. I'm not gonna this is not CNN where it's like I'm gonna do that. I gotcha. You know what I mean? No, I care about my guests. I consider you guys all my friends, and this is just a chance for us to get to know you guys. We're talking to Defender of the Republic. Everybody has seen you on social media, they've seen your videos, but I want to go way back, to whether it was pigtails or the era of a tomboy, whatever it may be. Where are you from? What was family life like for you as a kid, and kind of paint that picture for us?
Absolutely. So I was born in Brooklyn. And when I was very young, we moved to the Bronx. I think I was 2. And we were in the Bronx till I was 9. So I was there longer than AOC was, which is cool. Maybe that makes me more from the Bronx than she is. But I was there till I was 9. And then we moved to Jersey City. And I spent the bulk of my time in Jersey City till I was in my 20s before I moved into Central Jersey. But my entire family had moved from New York to New Jersey because we just thought the Bronx was so dangerous. It's crazy because we would hear gunshots outside of our window. The lady in our building was taken hostage, and that's when my mom was like, "Enough! We got to get the hell out of here." So that is where it started.
The Bronx. Every time I meet someone, they're like, "I'm from." They say with the Bronx, like yeah, like everything you heard, yeah, like yeah. I claim it. Because there's other places people be like, I'm from here, but that ain't me. I never get that when people say they're from the Bronx. It's just like, nah.
Yeah, there's like a sense of pride there.
That's a signature. So then you guys move. Where do you head into? Like, bring us into like when you get into your high school years. Where were you a troublemaker? Were you
my God, majorly. I was a major troublemaker. So I will give you the background there. All of my life, like from 3rd grade through high school, I was a nerd. I was always in these advanced courses and I hated it, especially coming from Jersey City, which is like a tough town. And, you got to have street cred. Being a nerd at the nerd school is not cool. So I did everything possible to get away from that stigma. And the high school I ended up in was the top, they put the top smart students in the city there. And we had a dress code. It was business casual. You had to dress like you were going to work, and it was a college preparatory school. So of course, me being the rebel that I am, I took the book that they gave us when we first started the school, saying like, here are all the rules, the code of conduct, and I wanted to find every single loophole that I could. And so I was goth at the time because I wanted to be scary. So I had bright red contacts, red hair, and I wore, Jenkos that were 40 inches at the bottom with a wallet chain. So I had a tongue ring and an eyebrow ring, all of that. And it didn't go against dress code, but everything I wore, so I had to make sure it matched the dress code in ways that was a loophole. Teachers hated me for it. I actually had a English teacher who in class in front of all of my peers started screaming at me and said, "You will never amount to anything." And it was the craziest thing that ever happened to me, because I said, if this teacher could say this to a student, it's insane. So of course, what do? I plotted. I said, what am I going to do to get this guy back that I can get away with? So every teacher had a homeroom class. His homeroom class was freshman. And at the time I was a junior when this happened. So he had this freshman class and I'm like, oh, impressionable freshman. Perfect. So the next day I go to school, I go directly to his freshman homeroom. I like fling the door open and I start pointing my finger at him and saying, "What did you say to me yesterday?" And he was like in shock, did not think I was going to do it. And again, this guy was an English teacher. He was, he had an impeccable language. Like he used big words for no reason. He literally put his fingers in his ears and goes, la, 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 as I'm speaking to him. So then he comes out of the classroom and he's running up and down the hallway saying, she's crazy, get her out of my classroom. So it was epic. And I did not get in trouble because every other teacher knew that this guy was a problem. And they were like, so the principal brought me into his office and he's like, listen, just don't ever do that again. So that's the kind of student that I was.
He's like, hey, just listen.
Chill out.
The wink and the nod, right? Just I was a jock in high school, but I was also a nerd on paper because I had very strict parents. But I never wanted to look, I didn't want it to be obvious that I was a nerd because my friends were not in that realm. So then you remember when teachers started to post the grades on the first test? Yeah. I was like, no. Like,
you lose all your credibility.
It was all my street cred.
Yeah.
And high school was great. So then, you get to your senior year. Did you kind of know what you wanted to do leaving high school? Was there a term of like, I have no idea what happens? What happens?
It's funny because I still don't know what I want to do with my life. I'm joking, but when I was in my senior year, a lot of people said to me, you should be a psychologist. I was very good at reading people and understanding, how they're feeling and giving people advice. And they were like, you need to be a psychologist. So I go to college, pay way too much money. It was like 30 grand a year, even back then. It's insane. I wish people had told me, like, don't do this. Don't go to college. It's too much money. But I did that. I got accepted into a college where they took my high school credits. So I essentially, had I finished, and which I didn't, had I stayed, I would have had a master's in 4 years, which is pretty sick. But I couldn't afford it. Couldn't afford to finish. So never became a psychologist, but that is why I went to school for it.
Interesting.
Yeah. And I didn't have rich parents. I had to pay for my own school. And one year when I went to, I think it was my third year, when I went to go register, they were like, you have to pay this outstanding bill or you can't register for the upcoming year. And I just couldn't pay it. So that's when I went into. Yeah.
So you still have that little psych bug there that just means Absolutely. You're always doing an assessment of people.
Always. And I wish I could turn it off, but definitely.
You can't. You can't
turn
those things off. It's just, I like one of the things, especially at home, that, my family gets frustrated with me is they'll be like, stop talking to us like you're a cop. You know, it's just like I'm trying to get past all the information that's irrelevant to get to the point of what this story is or where it's going.
Yeah.
It frustrates people. It's just sometimes you can't turn it off.
Yeah. That's in
It's
your
there.
blood though. You're forever be a cop.
It, it is, you know, even when I'll have to make an active effort to try not to be. But like if I go to a restaurant, I'll be like, I'm not gonna sit facing the door or point of entry. Then I don't enjoy myself while I'm eating. I'm doing this. I'm
Yeah.
just like, no, I can't do it. You know,
I see, but I love that about you, which I wish more people would do, is that they're self-critical. Like they see themselves and they're like, okay, what am I doing? What should I do differently? And I tell this to people online all the time who get angry when I like am critical of them. I'm like, I'm critical of myself more than anyone else on this planet. So I think I've earned the right to be critical of certain people.
So let me ask this then. Before we leave the childhood years behind,
Yeah.
is there anything from your childhood, whether it's a memory with your parents or family or a friend, is there something that's from your childhood that you're like, it just sticks around, whether it be for something good or bad, but is there a story you can share with us?
Oh, something that sticks around. I will tell you, there is one thing. I was just having a conversation about this the other day. For a long time as a child, I was extremely obsessed with Bret the Hitman Hart from WWE. Like that, it was almost crazy. So I think I started watching wrestling. I'm an only child, so I was bored half the time. I had no one to play with, so I started watching football and wrestling. That was my childhood. So I became extremely obsessed with Bret Hart. I told my mom I was going to marry him, that this is the love of my life. And so they used to do these things called fan festivals. So my mom, she's amazing, would take me all across the country to let's go see him wherever he was doing fan greetings. And so I met him 4 times as a child. And what's crazy is the last time I saw him is, I think it was right before I started middle school. And the first day of school, we were in the lunchroom and I'm sitting by myself and I have my head down and I'm really upset. And a girl comes up to me who ended up becoming my best friend. She's like, "What's wrong? Are you okay?" And I'm like, "I just miss Bret." She's like, "Bret who?" And it was just something that stuck with me forever. And everyone knows how much I love Bret Hart. Like growing up, people still reach out to me about Bret. I named my first car Bret. I named my daughter's middle names after Bret Hart's daughter. It's insane. It is an unhealthy obsession. So and this is a funny story, Alpha, you're gonna love this one. Do you remember the movie Hall Pass?
Yes, I do.
Okay. So before I got married, I said to my fiance at the time, I said, my hall pass is Bret Hart. Like that is my hall pass. You must agree. And he's like, all right, fine. So would you know, like a month or 2 before our wedding, Bret Hart happens to be coming to New Jersey. Whoa, what a coincidence. So we go to this fan greeting thing in Woodbridge, New Jersey. He comes with me. My fiance comes with me. I go up there. I meet Bret. And it was amazing. Like I was enamored. I have pictures of me just staring at him. And then his security comes up to me later because my fiance wasn't standing anywhere near me. Security comes up to me and taps me on the shoulder and says, "Hey, Bret wants to know if you want to hang out." And I was like, so I go running to my fiance. I'm like, hold pass. And he was like, "Are you kidding me? Hell no." So I never let that go. I was so mad at him. I was like, how dare you deny me my hall pass?
You're like, we had an arrangement. Like
We did. I'm so upset.
Well, listen, is he still alive?
Yes, he is very much still alive. And I think at the time, so this was back in 2012 or 13 when I met him as an adult. And I think he was like in his 60s back then. So, but he's still ticking. Still hot.
Bret, if you're watching, bro, you might listen, Bret. You might get your butt kicked if you try this time. The boyfriend is a tough dude, so choose wisely, Bret. Choose wisely. So okay, so You get into college, you get the seed to, whether it's psychology, whatever the case is, we start learning at our age that this thing is a debt slave, variable number one. What kind of happens with you after that? You talked about marriage, was that pretty soon,
No, it didn't happen right away. So after I was in a major depression after not being able to afford to finish college. It was right around 9/11 as well. What's crazy is 9/11 was a day I happened to be off from class. My ex-boyfriend at the time owned a parking lot in Jersey City that had a clear view to the towers. So I was there that day when it
just
happened.
just so you know, the racist side of me already started profiling what your boyfriend looked like.
Well, I'm almost afraid to say it because I'm really going to give you a reason to profile. He was Palestinian. So there's that.
Man, I'm good. I'm just saying.
But I went through a depression. I didn't know what I was going to do with my life. I started working at Lowe's. I was there for a few years. So, I could do a lot of home improvement projects, which is great. But when I realized, oh my God, I have to find a career, I started looking around, had no idea what I was going to do. And I started getting phone calls from the same company. And every time the guy called me, I'd hang up on him. He's like, and he was very pushy about it. He's like, listen, you need to come in for an interview. And I'm like, you know what? Just because you're so pushy, fine. And it turned out to be the best decision I ever made because that's when I went into sales. And I've been there for, I've been in sales for over 20 years now. And it's an incredible career. I loved it so much. I worked so many hours and busted my butt that within the first 2 years, I was actually able to pay off what I owed my college. It's incredible.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm curious if we were to do a poll, a lot of, and I know we don't like the titles of like content creators or influencers or things like that, but I mean, the titles do exist, especially with the work that we do. But I'm starting to see that a lot of people at some point in their life were working sales.
Yeah.
Something like that. So I'm curious if there was some techniques or just, thought processes that kind of stayed with us on how to deliver a message or put information forward. Because one of my first jobs was working for, I'm going to date myself here, it was Time Warner.
Yeah.
And it was right before the merger of AOL, Time
Interesting.
Warner. And same thing, I was very successful at it in Southern California. It was just one of those things where I just didn't see myself doing it because there's just there's a lot of upset ladies that were in AOL and a whole lot of potlucks. So if I would have stuck around, that just would have a whole lot different today. So you get into sales. So let me ask you this. What's something about sales that people have probably the biggest misunderstanding about?
It's accountability. If you follow me, accountability is my biggest thing. What I love about sales is that you can make as much or as little money as you put into it. And I am so big on betting on yourself. So my job allows me to bet on myself every single day. And that's why I love sales, because as much work as I put into it is how much money I can make.
You just said something that I absolutely love.
Mm-hmm.
I bet on myself. And I was, I do these cold plunges and I listen to these moto videos in the morning because that's how I want to start my day, with like motivation, positivity, right? Yeah. And during one of these videos, I was listening to this guy, and it might have even been Jocko. I'm not sure. But I do listen to a lot of his. And it was, be the hero of your own story. Yeah. And, when I first heard it, I was like, well, of course. But then I started to really reflect on it and been like, there are a lot of people that play NPCs, at best, maybe a supporting actor. Why aren't people looking at themselves like the hero in their own story? And so when I hear you say, I bet on myself, probably one of the most powerful choices you can make as a person. Is that a mentality you always have, or is that something you adopted along the way? And if so, when?
I think it might have come from me being an only child, where I kind of depended on myself. My mom worked crazy hours, so I was basically raised by my grandmother, who's 101 1 today. So she was old even back then. So I always felt like I was raising myself. So I was responsible for myself. So everything that I did, I knew that I wanted to be the best at too. I'm very competitive. So, that might be where I get that from. But working a regular job, like when I worked at Lowe's, I knew what I was making every day. Didn't matter how much extra effort I put in, I was still getting the same paycheck. So when I went into sales, I was like, oh, wait, if I do more, I can make more. This is great. So that's always stuck with me, and that's where I'll always be.
Was there ever a career path that you considered that you didn't go down, obviously, but to
Mhm.
this day you wonder, what if?
Not really. I mean, I got to tell you, so it's funny. The first job I went into in sales, I was there for 12 years. No, 8 years. And now I'm on my 13th year at this company. So I never real I'm a very loyal person. So if I love the company I work for, there's no reason for me to look elsewhere. So not really.
Well,
Not really.
good. That's a good thing. There's only one for me, and it
Mhm.
goes and I would never go back and change it because if you change that one moment, then my little ones don't exist because my whole life would have been different. But I
Yeah.
always wonder because remember I said I was an undercover nerd, right? Well, when Top Gun came out, it always planted that seed in me, and every now and then I wonder, would you have made it all the way to fighter pilot? And so of course I'm a man, so I'm like, hell yeah, would have, shoot, right? But
Of course you would.
but it's just one of those things where it's just like, no, the life that I've been blessed with now, it's I wouldn't make any choices that change that to include choices that led to, painful lessons. And we
Yes.
have those in our life. Is there a lesson in your life that was painful, but you wouldn't change it because of what you learned or how you grew from it?
That's the thing. I try not to live with regrets. Everything God's given us choice in life to do certain things. And I think that, like you said, we learn from all of the things we do, and the outcomes that come from it are because of it. The only regret that I live with, and this is deeply personal, is so I have 2 daughters. Okay. My oldest is now 9, my little one's 5. When I had my first daughter, they put me into an emergency C-section with her because I was in labor for 19 hours and it was at the point she had to come out. So it was emergency C-section. I wish I had learned with my second daughter what the right things to do were. I wish I'd researched more because she was born during COVID. And at the time, I knew vaccines weren't right. Like I was way against the COVID vaccine, but the childhood vaccines I was against, but I didn't realize how against it I should have been. So that's one thing. But the other thing is, the doctor told me that I had to have a C-section with my second daughter. I come to find out later that's not true. That's something that the doctors lied to me about. Also, because I hated being pregnant and I went through trauma with my first pregnancy. Oh, I left this part out. So I went to an emergency C-section with my first daughter. They give me the epidural. Apparently, it didn't work. So the doctor takes a scalpel. She starts poking me and she's like, "Can you feel this? Can you feel this?" And I'm like, "Yes, I can feel that." I guess she thought I was kidding or lying. They cut me open anyway. So it was like a horror movie in there. I've never screamed so loud in my life. And I went into shock where my body was shaking. It was traumatic. So I said to myself, I'm never having another kid. This is crazy. But because I was an only child, my husband at the time was an only child. It's like I cannot leave my daughter with not to be an only child. So finally I got up the courage to get pregnant again. But at 37 weeks, I went to the hospital because I thought I was in labor. It turned out that I wasn't. And the doctor said to me, "Doesn't matter that you're not in labor. If you want to have this baby today, we can do that." And I'm like, "Is that normal?" And he's like, "Absolutely. She's full term." And so we did the C-section that day. I wish I had waited and let her sit in there longer. But again, this is why I'm so adamant about people not just blindly trusting doctors and really looking into things. And then after that, with the well visits, again, it was during COVID. Um, at the time, you're only allowed one parent to go in with the child. So my ex-husband took my daughter in to the doctor. I had told him, don't let them give her so many vaccines. Maybe one. I was trying to I didn't know any better. Of course, he lets them give her 4 because they convinced him that because of COVID, she's not going to be able to come and get the other ones. And that's the only thing I think I really regret.
I completely understand that predicament. My little one that just turned 5 2 days ago now
Oh, happy birthday.
is my little Alexandria. When the day that she was born, so November 20th, we had already, and this was kind of at the beginning, like when remember all that stuff started to kind of happen. It was there, but you knew what you educated yourself on because everything on the TV was just fear-based.
Yep.
So any knowledge you had, it was because either you sought it out or a friend or someone shared it with you. Because even then it was you couldn't really find it on podcasts. And so, but here's what's crazy. I remember I went and studied all these, I went detective mode, right? Like that's my, my fault. And I find all these things, right? And I start learning about these. And so especially when it came to one of the things I was concerned with was SIDS. Yeah. And when I was studying this, I found out that the country with the highest SIDS rate was the United States. And I was like, but what do you mean?
Why?
More than a third world nation? And then the country with the least rate of SIDS was China. And I was like, what's going on? Yeah. And so I started to look into their schedule. And one, I think, I'm going off memory here, they didn't even do the first vaccine, I think, until 2. It might have been 4, but I think it was 2. Yeah. And then even then, it was just 1. And then they wait a period of window till they did the next. So I remember we came to a decision of like, you know what, as we learn, because there's a lot to learn here, we at least know we'll go with at least this 2-year window. So at least it gives us, more time to study. Yeah. And we did. So then we get to the day that she's born, and thank goodness it wasn't 19 hours. Bless your heart. Jesus. I remember when she was going through just a couple hours. I was like, that's enough. But then, and this was a very good hospital. The hospital is familiar with the doctor. Well, first the nurses come in and they, they bring, hey, the vitamin K, and then the stuff for the eye, and then the hepatitis shot. And I was like, nope, we're not going to do it. And so the nurse like, well, yeah, so they do their the skit. I was like, nope, not going to do it. And she was like, okay. Well, then the doctor comes in a little while later. And I remember the doctor said something, and I remember it did give me pause. Because they said
they're the authority in that moment.
Yeah, if you don't give this to your newborn and she starts to bleed, we won't be able to stop it and she can die. That is like the last thing you want to hear from the person wearing the white coat that's responsible for taking care of you and the baby. And you have this new precious little life.
And you're extra emotional because you just had a baby.
You are so vulnerable at that point. Including exhausted, granted, you moms have it harder, but as dads, we're sleeping on that uncomfortable couch and awkward angles, and we're trying to do our best, lying and saying you still look beautiful when you you know what I mean? I'm just kidding. But I remember I said, no, we're not. And so then we had to sign paperwork for that. But I remember I was so stressed because I was like, if something happens, everyone's going to blame me for this. I'm going to blame myself, but, thank God I did stick to my guns. But I think back and I wonder how many people that were brand new, because, this wasn't my first, how many people this was their first, and they're presented with this information that is just scary, and then
here in New Jersey, they won't let you leave the hospital without that first shot. Like they will literally keep you there hostage until you do it. It's insane.
It is. And I mean, it was relentless through the whole time because every doctor visit, they see that there's no vaccines. So they hit you with it and they hit you with it and they hit you with it, and in the beginning, it's just like, you feel like it's weird. You feel like you're not supposed to offend the doctor, and then it just got to a point where I was so tired. I was like, they're not going to get it. We're done with that conversation. Like somebody put it in the book because the answer is always going to be no.
That's the thing. I told you, I questioned myself all the time. Like sometimes I think maybe I'm the crazy one. Maybe I'm like a conspiracy theorist. It's insane.
So, you go through that and, you have, at least you have a life experience now where other moms, or if you see other moms, you have this information to provide them. And I always think, this is hard. It's easier said than acknowledging, but there's nothing that happens to us in life, whether it's good, bad, or indifferent, that is not part of our creator's plan, and sometimes it is hard for us to agree with it, but that's where it is. So let's get into Defender of the Republic, patriotic colors in your hair,
Yeah.
out there on videos. Where did this all spawn from?
Yeah. So this came from the COVID era where again, I had just had a baby. I had experienced that. The the 2020 election was coming. And for the first time, it became very like the world became more political. People didn't talk about politics before that. I had a group of 4 girlfriends that were my closest friends, and we had this text thread, and they said, "Who are you voting for?" And when I said Trump, they lost their minds. And now, mind you, I don't know if I mentioned this before. My mom's Puerto Rican, my dad's Chinese Jamaican, so I'm a rainbow, not the bad rainbow, but you know what I mean. So my friends started going nuts, and they're like, "Are you kidding me? What the hell is wrong with you?" And again, like this sales tactic that the doctors use, one of my girlfriends said, "I have Black children. How dare you be racist toward my Black children?" I was like, "What the hell are you talking about?" And they deemed me a racist, and they started saying these vile, crazy things. And I'm like, what the hell is going on? I was so confused. And I lost those 4 friends. Like these are, again, I was friends with these people for 20 years. It's crazy that they lost their minds like that. And I was already emotional because of the pregnancy and everything. And that's when I took some time and I said, I believe that the media stole my friends from me. And I truly believe that the media stole my friends from me because nothing I said would penetrate their minds. I could not convince them that, hey, it's me, Kaity, the girl you've been friends with for 20 years. Hear me out as to why I'm voting for Trump instead of deeming me a racist. They would not do that. So what I started to do is take all of the research and the reasons why I was voting for Trump, and I started talking to the internet about it because I lost all my friends. So who am I going to talk to? So I start putting these videos out, and I'm just like explaining my point of view from my perspective. Then one of the videos started to go everywhere. Like I wake up one morning and it's viral. And it turns out that there was a guy in Texas who played one of my videos. It was just audio, but he played it on his radio station, and people started to follow me. People were sharing it. It went nuts. So I was like, yeah, maybe I've got something here. So I took that opportunity to continue to educate the public. Like if the media is going to lie, I'm going to tell the truth. And this is what the truth is. I was running counter to the media. 2020 was my goal. And it started to work. So many people reached out to me and they're like, wow, I didn't know these things. I didn't understand these things. Keep going. Tell us more. So that's where Defender of the Republic was born, because I also saw that everyone was using a pseudonym, and, it's in the professional world, it's not popular to use your name. So I went through Defender of the Republic.
Right on. Right. It's one of those things where maybe they were there and we just didn't see them. But I kind of think back, man, if there would have been like these modern day warriors, back before all this started, like in with the motivation that you see that exists now,
Mm-hmm.
could we have won this war for our country a long time ago? But then again, you look and it's just like the establishment had so much control over the Mockingbird media and the 3-letter agencies that the second one of those people started to pop up, they were taken out. And it's just like, how many of these people that they told us were crazy,
Right.
knew what was going on? And then the ones that they did kind of let live, I hate to say live like that, but y'all track what I'm saying,
Mm-hmm.
where they controlled opposition, why allow this one but not that one?
Yeah.
Was there a controlled opposition there? And it's just, this world of, you have it on your website. It's freedom, truth, and justice.
That's right.
And it is really hard for people to find that now, because it seems like, and I really want to get your take on this. It seems like the mainstream media knew that they were losing the viewership in their realm, and they saw this growth of alt media and Substacks and individual, citizen journalists. So they knew they're going to have to infiltrate that.
Yeah.
And so, knowing that, how do you see the role of, I guess you could say, a conservative or a patriot or MAGA? What do you see the role of a conservative or MAGA or patriot in this mission through like your eyes?
Yeah. So, one of the things you mentioned about what we're fighting, this is years, maybe 100 years worth of corruption that we're fighting. So it's very, very difficult, but we're very lucky that we've multiplied as patriots in different ways. I'm not good at everything. You're not good at everything. Everyone has a special talent or something that they're good at. So being able to activate each other, motivate each other to work together is amazing. For me, a true patriot stands on their convictions, because every day we can be swayed. Our opinions can be swayed from one way to another, because psyops are real, emotions are high. There are a lot of crazy things going on every single day, multiple times a day. So you have to remember what your convictions are, what you stand for, and always come back to it, because there will always be situations, scenarios where you become emotional and you forget, and you're like, you just want to scream and say, oh, this is crazy. And you want to say, you always want to respond to certain things. So not always the greatest idea. Just take a breather, go back to what you stand on, and integrity is always the most important. And one of the other things you mentioned about people infiltrating, that is going to happen. And that's why I question everything. Like I said, I question myself. I question everything all the time. And I've learned through all of this, no one is perfect. Like, there is not one human being that's perfect. The only perfect person was Jesus Christ. So, I even question Donald Trump all the time, because he's one man. He's an imperfect man sent here to do good things, but he's going to make mistakes, and that's okay. It's okay for us to criticize. And when we don't criticize, we become that cult that the left says we are. We have to remember that, no one's perfect. So at the end of the day, the other thing that that's important to remember is intention. So you will see that there are voices that you normally go to that will say things that you're like, wait, what the hell is Alpha talking about? That doesn't make any sense. He's wrong. But you have to remember his intentions. Are they good? And in my opinion, Alpha's intentions are always good. He's going to say something off the wall sometimes, but at the end of the day, his intentions are good. So that's what's important.
I with that, Kaity, I need to do a show on the posts that are in my drafts. The ones that I was just like, let me come back in an hour before I hit send on this.
I'm glad you do that, though. It's smart. Yeah. That's what we have to do.
That would definitely be a paywall show. They'd be like, bro. I'd be like, yeah, I know. Just remember, I didn't hit send on that one. So let me ask you this. How is it being a woman patriot in this movement? I mean, I can speak on, what it feels like being as a man, but you guys, I imagine it has to be different, especially when you look at the beginning of a lot of this stuff, whether it was the schools or COVID. It seems like it was the women that were out there at the front of the fight, being the tip of the spear, and not the men.
That's right. And it's because we love our children. We're like mama bears. If anything threatens their livelihoods and the future of our kids, we're going to speak up. But where I've taken advantage of being a woman is that men do not like being held accountable by women. And for all the women listening, remember that, because I attack men as a woman, and when it like bad people, like deep state guys, when I attack those men, it really gets to them. They do not like it. And I'll give you an interesting story. I gave Speaker Mike Johnson the name No Balls Johnson because I was way early on hammering that home. And partially it was kind of a joke because I did find out that he was seeing it. So once that was like the biggest mistake anyone could ever do, was tell me that Mike Johnson was seeing my posts. So I went in harder. Every time he did something I didn't like, I'm like, okay, no balls, right? And then it's funny because his communications director started following me, and that's when I was like, okay, I'm gonna go even harder. But you never know who's watching, who's looking at the things you say. And if you want to hold people accountable, like I said, use what you have. Don't, always remember to do it, whether it's our side or the other side. But that's a dangerous thing to say right now, especially since our side's at war. So I take that back. But especially when you want to hold people accountable, there is a way to do it. And we have to remember to use our platforms for good.
What's one of the advantages you think you guys have as women in this movement? Is it the emotional mindset? I mean, I'm curious.
Our emotions is like the worst part. Like women's emotions are the worst. That's why I have to like work extra hard every day to make sure I'm not an emotional woman. And I always try to make sure that, like you with the drafts, like I always second guess everything that I post. And there's times that some will fly. And I'm like, shoot, I wish I hadn't posted that. But I think the emotional thing, when people encounter a woman who comes off as unemotional, they like short circuit, like they don't know what to do. So that is something that I've tried to perfect over the years, is don't be a stereotypical woman. And it's terrible to say, but again, we can't get offended by it. It's the truth. That's what we're known as. So if we go in as a serious woman who wants to get things done and is using their platform for good and to do the right things and get, which is what we should be doing, that's what makes a difference. So that is, I think, an advantage, is being the counter to that narrative.
And how have you handled kind of like the attacks on you personal? And I'm not talking like from the places where we expect it. Those I think we all kind of just they go over the shoulder.
Yeah.
But how do you handle the attacks or the pushback when someone that maybe someone you liked or someone you trusted or someone that you saw as an ally?
Yeah.
How have you handled that?
I gotta be honest, at first, because I wasn't really like a social media person. At first I was like, this is crazy. Why are people attacking me? Now I laugh at it, because at the end of the day, people are always going to have opinions. That's what makes the world great. We're not all the same person. We all have differing opinions. And there are so many idiots on social media. You have to expect that people are going to say dumb things. People are going to attack you for things that they feel about themselves. Sometimes it's just projection. So I brush it off. I don't really care. I mean, and I've had people attack me that I cared about. I've had people come after me that I thought were my friends. And if I harp on that and I let it bug me, it's going to stop me from my mission, from doing the right things. And so I don't let it bug me.
Here's a question that you made me think about right now when you're telling that. And I've always wanted to ask this question to somebody that I think would be in this situation. So I think you apply perfect for this. How do you handle people? I mean, the devil wears many masks, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the devil's not going to show up with a pitchfork and horns. Like it's going to be someone that makes you feel relaxed and inviting. You developed a network for yourself of very important people in your circle. Is it easy for you to kind of filter out which people are trying to either develop a relationship with you or a friendship with you because they want to use you as a Rolodex? Or is that something that has been learned through moments of experiencing, like, oh, I should have seen that one coming, like this person was trying to use me?
Yeah.
Am I making sense in this?
Yeah, no, it makes sense. Well, I give people the benefit of the doubt. Like, I am very quick to be friendly, get to know people's story, talk about them. But I mean, I've been in situations where I was used for certain things, but sometimes I'm okay with that. I feel like God has put me here for a reason. I wouldn't have that network or connections if it wasn't for a purpose. So if I can help someone with my network, then I'm going to do that. So I don't put myself in a situation where I feel used for too long. If I feel like I'm being used for a purpose that I can't help with, I just let them know, like, listen, I can't help you with this. So I don't sit in that scenario too long. I will tell you, like, I try to speak to as many people, struggling whistleblowers, things like that, that need someone to have to, have it, to lend an ear. And it's important for us to do.
I agree. And the reason I asked is, you know, the thing for me, it's been triaging information, because, as the podcast started to grow and the relationships, especially kind of during the climax of COVID with a lot of the doctors that I was interviewing, the second people saw that I had a direct connection to communicate with, like Dr. Sherry Tenpenny or Dr. Midday, your email gets flooded.
Yeah.
And and the part that I struggled with was I could feel people's anxiety and urgency in their words.
Yeah.
And it's, how do you pick this email over this one?
Right.
And it's just, no matter what you do, you feel, like, so just trying to figure out which email I was going to present, like that was a struggle. But then it was like, and how do I make these doctors know that I really do see them as my friends and I'm not trying to use them, but at the same time, this story needs to be heard by them. And for me, that was a very trying time, because I came from a background where you bring me the problem and I solve it. Like that's what I'm used to. I don't care how bad it is, but in this situation, it was just the messenger. Just being the messenger was rough. And that's kind of what my battle's been in this. Has there been a battle for you in this mission that is, something that you struggled and you overcome, or maybe something you still struggle with?
Well, that's the thing. I mean, when you build that kind of network, it's your almost duty to filter those things, because you run the risk of losing your network and relationships if you just pass things along, And so there have been times where someone had a very credible story or situation that needed to be passed along. And I'm like, okay, I need you to put this together, where it's the who, what, when, where, why, how. I need you to put into a small snippet. So it's because, sometimes people, when they're emotional over a situation they're in, they'll ramble on about it forever. And if you pass that along to someone who's very, very busy, they'd be like, whoa, what is this? So that's kind of the way I've gone about it. But I've also learned that, like, through relationships and things like that, to temper my expectations of everything. I cannot tell you how many times I have been wrong about things. And so that's why, and it's usually when you have an immediate reaction to things. So I usually sit back, watch things happen, and then try to formulate an opinion. And human nature is not to do that. So like I said, again, I will make that mistake again. I know I will. But I've learned that over time.
Just listening to you, and I can tell from the, the different chats that I'm monitoring, people absolutely love you and adore you. And the one thing that I've picked up is you're very resilient.
Well,
And I'm curious, what's your ritual or your daily habits? Are you doing, like, morning, meditation, yoga, you watch?
No. Oh my God. You don't even want to know. I'm like the worst. So, I work a lot, right? So Monday through Friday, I am working all day long. But I don't have great habits, unfortunately. I'm a mom, I work. So when it comes to eating and all of those things, I'm terrible with that. I don't work out. It's so bad. So I'm probably the worst example to use for that stuff. But I think my resilience just comes from, my upbringing, like I said, my grandmother raised me. She was very old back then, and I left my grandmother when I was very young. I was 17 when I left the house. And I was like, I want to raise myself. I want to have my own place. So I moved in with friends until I was able to afford my own apartment at 18. And I was a commuter in college, so I didn't dorm. So I was always working. I've always had a job. I've always kind of fended for myself. I was the sole provider in my marriage. So, it's just always kind of been the situation that I've been in, is that I always depend on myself. So maybe that's where the resilience comes from, other than the fact that I eat like a 5-year-old.
So, I mean, it makes sense. I mean, we talked about it a little while ago. You bet on you, and so I guess that's where it has to come from. Oh, let me ask you this: and so far in this fight, whether it be from COVID, or even maybe when Trump just first, his first administration from day one, what has been one of your personal biggest victories in the last couple years?
Ooh, it's an interesting one. Personal biggest victory. So I work with a lot of different causes. So I think the first major thing that I was like, yes, we did that, was bringing attention to Yogananda Pittman with the USCP whistleblower, because that story was going nowhere. It was time sensitive, and this woman was about to get paid her pension, despite the fact that she was one of the architects of what happened on that day. So bringing visibility to that, it went viral. It was awesome. Same thing with, the Declaration of Military Accountability, when the military, they was treated the way they were for refusing the COVID jab. So bringing that to light was major. So I think those two things are some of the biggest things. And there was also another one we did with when the Biden administration decided, it was HHS, decided that they were going to change the rules for children coming across the border because, there's too many of them. We can't handle it. They decided they were going to change the rules. They threw it into the Federal Register saying, we're not going to check IDs anymore. It requires too many resources we don't have. So bringing attention to the public and saying, hey guys, this is at the Federal Register. In order for this to stop, we got to put in comments, and teaching people about that. That was another big one for me.
Right on. And I do remember both of those, and they were absolutely were significant. Have you ever, so let me ask you this, because every now and then I'll find myself in the presence of someone, or in a certain situation, maybe it's a call, maybe it's a meeting, where I'm like, wow, how the hell did I get here?
Yep.
Like, I'm supposed to be just jumping fences, chasing tweakers. Like, how in the world did I get here? Have you had a surreal moment? You don't have to give us the details surrounding that, because I know some of that stuff might be confidential, but have you had a moment like that? And what was going through your mind when that happened?
Oh, for every day. Every day. I'm like, how did I get here? Who put me here? Do I have a handler somewhere? That's going I don't know. Maybe. It's funny too, because I have, through my time, I start meeting all these people, and very early on, I started to meet all these guys in the military, and I was like, what branch were you in? Oh, I was a Green Beret. I was a Green Beret. I was like, wait a minute. Somebody sent the Green Berets to come around me. I feel like there's something going on here. But I thank God for it. And that's why I feel this big sense of duty, because if God wants this to be my purpose, I have to make the most of it. And I feel like I have to use every ounce of my time and effort and energy to do it. So I'm spending a lot of my free time trying to do anything that I can.
I like that.
Yeah.
If, a lot of times we always speak to our audience, but a lot of times, are we talking to our audience?
Yeah.
And for your audience that's listening, my audience that's listening, and for the ones that like follow you and your work, what's something that you want to make sure that they definitively know about you?
I will say this. One of the things that I did when I first grew my platform, and I've talked about this to friends recently a lot. Motivating others is something that I don't think we do enough, and I built my platform doing that. I've met some of the most amazing human beings on the planet. I don't know if you guys follow me on Telegram. Rev runs my channel there. We've never met in person, but I consider that guy a brother. right? Like there are so many incredible people out there that if you get the time to help people, have people help you working together, reaching out, so many amazing things can happen. And you like the amount of things you can learn from other people. I've I've been to events where I randomly meet people and you just never know the incredible stories that they have behind them, which is why I love the fact that you're doing people because you just never really know the stories behind the faces that are out there. So I just, want to remind people of that. It's so important.
It is, and
Like,
unfortunately,
don't have
there's
those
you know one of the things that is a bummer is a lot of times we plan things like we have next week, like we plan things like we have tomorrow,
Yeah.
and the next thing you know, somebody's not with us no more, and you're like, why didn't I just make that call or send that email or
Yeah.
make that connection? What was I doing that I prioritize over that choice? And there are things in life that just can't be undone. It's We're not watching a movie where we can hit rewind. Like, this is where we live. So let me ask you this. And I wish that you lived to the same age as your grandma and beyond at 101. But if for whatever reason the world came to an end today and this was our last day on this earth, and you look back at your life from its, the beginning to now, what
Mhm.
what is one scene in your life that you wish you could kind of go back and just relive that moment?
Just laying in bed with my kids, just having them next to me, that is the greatest feeling in the world. I think that is the one I'd take with me.
Right on. Now,
Mhm.
now I feel selfish. I was like, put me back in that football game. I'm playing my princesses. It would always be you guys,
Yeah.
hands down. That football game would definitely be a close second.
And I will add to something you said before. When we lost Boone Cutler, that was a real awakening, right? Like I had just seen Boone, I think like 2 weeks before that happened. And when he passed away, like I went back through our text messages and I realized I had missed his last text. Um, so like you just never know, right? And I think that we live day to day with our own things. Like there's just always so much going on in a lot of people's lives. Don't forget to reach out to others, like you said. It's so important. So that was a real awakening.
It was that's one that people are still feeling the
Yeah.
the effects of that, because he was and is an amazing warrior wherever he is, and I imagine he is definitely in heaven, looking down, being like, "How many times did I tell you already?"
I know.
Still
I
ain't.
know.
Let me ask you this: if you had to, if your life was a movie, what would the title be?
That's a good question. What would the title be? I think it would just be Defender of the Republic.
Defend the Republic. I like it.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this, and then we'll get into the rapid fire questions.
Uh-oh.
Who has had the biggest impact on the patriotic portion of your life? And then, if you don't mind, telling us why.
It's tough to say because
I
there's
know.
so many people. Like to pick one. I only got to pick one.
Put you on the spot. I put you on the spot.
I think I'm gonna get in trouble if I don't say General Flynn, but but honestly, I think it's people like Ivan Raiklin or Doc P. Chambers. There's so many of them. I can't pick one, Alpha. Don't make me pick one. But these are incredible warriors who have sacrificed so much, and they continue to sacrifice every day, and they don't have to. And that's why they inspire me.
You're gonna get a call after the show from the general to be like, "So you're gonna make me share the throne with those other guys?" That's where we're at. No, the amazing part is, I'm sure if you ask those guys, they'd all probably pick the same person
Yeah.
too, and that's cool. So this next part, we'll go into rapid fire. Well, we'll go to our last commercial now. When we come back, we'll go to rapid fire. But just to explain to you how it works, I'm going to ask you, depending on how long we take, maybe somewhere between like 8 and 12 questions. Don't think too hard into them. Just whatever comes off your mind, we'll roll with it. If you get stuck, we'll just move on to the next one. But before we do that, we do have our final sponsor of the night. So when we come back, we got rapid fire.
Before skincare went synthetic, people used something simple, something real, tallow. Grass-fed and finished beef tallow is packed with vitamins A, D, E, and K. Nutrients your skin actually knows what to do with. It locks in moisture, restores elasticity, and defends against winter dryness. No water, no preservatives, and no BS. Unlike plant oils or chemical creams, tallow mimics your skin's own structure. Elbows, hands, knees, post-shave, anywhere your skin's crying for real moisture. Perfect for gifting or keeping your own skin soft when the cold hits. Visit softdisclosure.com and use promo code Badlands for 15% off. Ancient care, modern truth.
Soft disclosure. Yeah, that's John whispering soft disclosure into the mic, everybody. And definitely judge him with that. All right, so here we go to rally us into the end of the show. Question number 1. What's one hill you will die on politically? No compromise.
Ooh.
This is it.
America only.
America only. All right, I like it. Number 2. If someone offered you $100 million, now think of $100 million. If you started counting that, there's not enough days in a lifetime to count that. It's a lot of money. $100 million, but you had to betray America. What would you tell them?
No, I should be hung if I do that. Am I allowed to say that here?
Absolutely. Well, we're probably gonna have some Democrats that are gonna clip it and cry about it, and
probably,
seditious conspiracy. It is what it is. All right, number 3. What's the strangest DM you've ever received since becoming Defender of the Republic?
People asking me out is always so weird. Can I get your number? I think that's the strangest.
You're like, at least come at me with the good.
Yeah, like, tell me about yourself. Do a little work.
When people post some of the I guess the date requests, I guess what do you call it on there? There's some crazy ass people on the internet.
Yes.
Number 4, if you had 30 minutes uncensored conversation with any politician, past, present, alive, not alive anymore, who would it be, and what's one of the things you would ask them?
JFK, who killed you? Are you alive?
JFK is good. I don't know if he could answer that question though. I mean,
you said anyone.
So no. I mean, no. I would love a conversation with JFK. It's just,
I don't know. I figured he'd come back to life for the question session.
Oh, I got you. Okay, I see how you're thinking outside the box. I like that. All right, number 5. What is a conspiracy theory you think is actually not a conspiracy theory?
Not a conspiracy theory, as though it's like true.
Like it's legit true.
Well, like so many of them. 9/11.
Oh, here's one I don't have on there, but since we're on conspiracies, I want to put you on the spot. Kaity, is the world flat or is it round?
I don't know.
You're gonna get so much hate mail no matter.
No, I'm telling you, I really don't know. It could be flat. It could not be flat. I don't know. I really do not have an opinion on that because I don't know. I haven't seen it.
Kaity for Congress. She knows how to answer like a politician already.
I really don't have an opinion. I don't know because I could see both sides of it. Like they make really good arguments, so I have no clue.
I'm such a rubber band on that conversation. There's a window. I'm like, oh man, no, that's flat. It's flat. And then I'll see some information. I'm like, nah, you know what? It's a basketball. I'm buying the basketball. And then I'll hear something. I'll just like, you know what? Just.
But what's the other one? Dome, right? I could see that one too.
I mean, I consider that one still flat though. Like you're talking like a little Christmas.
Like the snow globe. We're like snow globe.
Yeah. I think that's like a happy medium. Like that's the safe area. It's a snow globe, and we're good. All right, number 6. Be honest. What's the most uninfluencer thing about you?
The most uninfluential thing about me. I like to eat Doritos in bed.
I mean, Doritos is good, but in bed it's just,
I know. You know how many times I get yelled at for eating in bed? Like, don't do that. I'm like, it's just Doritos.
So you're sleeping, you roll over, you're just like, yeah, that's
I know it's gross, but
definitely.
I'm being honest.
Yeah, nacho cheese. Are we talking Cool Ranch?
Oh, definitely nacho cheese.
Okay.
Yeah.
Next one. If you had to fight a deep state agent in the Walmart parking lot,
John Brennan.
What is going to be your signature finishing move?
Kick to the nuts.
Kick to the nuts, right. I'm smashing them with the golf or the grocery cart. That's good on that one.
You love how quick I said John Brennan. Like I want that guy.
Well, Mike Johnson and his marketing director is like, hey, no balls Johnson. This takes a whole new meaning now with that one. Yep. Number 8. What's one unpopular opinion you have that is sure to trigger social media?
Oh, the fact that I'm going after Susie Wiles as hard as I am. People either love me or hate me for it.
Yeah, I was sort of say you're gonna have a lot of people that you're gonna love it or hate it with that one.
Yeah, they think I'm betraying Trump for doing it, but I'm protecting Trump. What if people were quiet about Pence back in the day? It's the same thing.
Susie, if a fly lands on you, that's it. that's the mark right there. Here's what I'll say to that real quick, and I'll let you get the final word on that part too. If because there's a whole lot of there's psychological operations, there's all this conversation that everybody's in. If it's your position that somebody, and we'll just use Susie Wiles in this case, that is she's bad, and there's information there that supports that opinion, well, then you have an obligation to bring that information to the surface.
Correct.
Now, if it's something that's done by design, well, then that means they're expecting you to have that kind of reaction anyway. So continue to do your part.
Right.
And if you're wrong, then Trump's going to know, well, your intentions were still good meaning. So no harm, no foul, even from the person that you're questioning.
Exactly right. That's why I told you intention matters. Yeah. So I've seen way too many examples of her being a problem. And you want me to give you an exclusive that I've never put out publicly?
Oh,
I'll drop an exclusive. Okay. So remember the big, beautiful bill?
I do.
Okay. Trump was pushing that hard. Big, beautiful bill. You got to vote for it. Remember, he was going after the Republicans that weren't going to vote for it. Now, it went from the Senate to the House, Senate, House. It kept going back and forth. It was very, very weird. Now, the final version goes to the House. And on that night, I found this out, and I confirmed this is a true story. The night of the vote, and remember, for some reason, it happened like 10 o'clock at night. So this vote went to the House, and there were, I think the number was 13, don't quote me on that, but I think there were 13 Republican holdouts who were going to vote no on the big, beautiful bill. President Trump lost his mind. He calls into these congressmen, and he's like, what are you doing? What is the problem? I told you to vote yes, right? Apparently, these people in Congress said they changed the bill. They changed the bill. There are here are the issues in the bill. We tried to tell you. We sent a note with this person. Did you not get it? Why didn't the president get it? Because it went to a staffer who works for Susie Wiles. Everything that goes to the president has to go through her first. Why did she keep that from the president? I don't know. But that's just one example of many that I can tell you, which is why I'm going after Susie Wiles. But I was finally allowed to tell you that story, but that's an exclusive story.
You heard it here first, folks.
Yeah.
We're going to get that technical difficulties thing's going to come
I know.
Where's that minute? Forget everything.
Right?
Forget everything.
You never heard this.
But
yeah,
no,
that's why I have a problem.
And
There are a lot of examples of that.
and that's why that's so important. It's so important. And that's why I tell people is, and people try to misinterpret my message, and we know why. There's agendas. Alpha feels like you can't criticize Trump. I criticize Trump. I literally lost my breath when I heard he picked Vance. I was like, wait, what?
Yeah.
The Palantir, the Walton family, all this. But at the end of the day, it's like, I trust President Trump, but I'm going to keep an eye open on this guy, and monitor everything. And
Our job is to question everything, right? Like we're like, we lived through COVID. Of course we question everything. We have to. It's survival at this point.
We have to. And that's why I tell people, look at intentions. If somebody tells me, well, you just don't want us being critical of Trump, I'm like, no, you've been selling the story that you support President Trump. But when I look at the last 2 years of your timeline, there is nothing there that supports him. All you do is criticize. So I don't see you as trying to be critical. I see you as trying to subvert the support from him. And it's like you said, the intent. I think that plays a big part there.
For sure.
So continuing on, what's a personal talent or skill that you have that people online would just never guess?
Karaoke.
Really? You're one of those weirdos. All right.
Yes. I love me a karaoke bar.
For the
karaoke machine.
Wow, so you're all out.
Oh yeah.
What's your go-to karaoke song?
Always Journey. Journey's my go-to.
Which one? What's that? Believe in?
Yeah.
Yeah. Right on. Right on. For the audience, if you guys want to make fun of someone else besides Kaity on karaoke, CanCon is
no way.
Yeah. Oh, he's it. I think
I'm gonna have to come to Florida now. I'm gonna have to do karaoke.
He does karaoke like he has a mullet. I'm like, why are you doing this, bro? You have no hair.
Love it.
But he's into it. He loves it, and I love to watch. So as we approach the last few questions here, if you had one superpower for 24 hours and you could use it to fix America, what would it be?
I'd be invisible.
I'm assuming so you can go get the info and start dropping dimes.
Hell yeah. You know what stuff I want to know? I want to know everything. I'm like a super curious mind.
All right, last two. Here we go. Number 11. What's one thing you absolutely nerd out about when no one else is watching?
Ooh. I mean, right now it's just research. I research everything. Like I'll find something online or someone will give an opinion. I will literally stay up till 2, 3 in the morning just researching things because I want to know everything.
My family would say when I'm working on stuff, whether it's on one of the computer screens or the TV, I always have some type of like documentary or animal documentary or something that's on. So my brain's just
really
absorbing it. So then we'll be doing, maybe a family dinner, maybe we're all in the car or something. And something will come up, conversation on turtles, and I'll be like, turtles have a lifespan, and and everybody's just like.
But what's important? It is important to have something in your life that takes you away from this stuff because you need to have that, time to get your brain back to do things that are normal.
Listen, put me on Jeopardy, and I'm gonna have my moment. Some crazy
Patriot Jeopardy.
Oh my God.
John, put a Patriot Jeopardy show. There you go.
Jeopardy, that would be awesome. Oh my God, that would be awesome. Last question, and then I'll give you a chance to give your final thoughts to the audience. Finish this sentence. If I wasn't defender of the Republic, I would probably be
boring. I mean, I will tell you, I'm a nerd. I'm also a homebody. Like the only thing that takes me out of the house is doing Defender of the Republic type things. If it were up to me, I would never leave the house.
There you guys have it. If she wasn't Defender of the Republic, she would just be boring. All right, Kaity, I've enjoyed this conversation with you. I know the audience has. Do me a solid here. Let my audience know where they can find you, where they can find your work. If you have any upcoming events, please share that with them. And then I'll give it to you, the final message that you want to share with everybody that's listening.
I don't want to take up too much of your time, but I'm going to add a quick story to that. I'm on TikTok again. Finally, I found a legislator that was able to reach out to TikTok for me because there were 30 fake Defender of the Republics who were scamming people. They wouldn't listen to me for over a year trying to harass them. So finally, going through a legislator, those fake ones got removed. So I'm back on TikTok. I actually don't even remember my name. Is that terrible? Because I'm not allowed to have Defender of the Republic because there were so many fake ones that none of them are available. It's original DOTR. So you can find me on TikTok now. But the place I am the most is on X at Real Defender 45. I have a Telegram channel, Defender of the Republic 22, and it sucks that all my names are different, but on Instagram at I'm Defender of the Republic, all underscore in between each word, and on Truth Social, Defender of the Republic 22 as well.
There you have it. Any message you want to give anybody on the way out?
I thank you to your audience, because you have a great group out there. I'm watching the chats go, so thank you guys so much for being here. And Alpha, thank you for having me. I'm super honored to have that you've had me on the show, and I love you, everything that you do. Keep doing what you're doing, because you are inspiring people like me, and that's really it.
Well, I appreciate it. The feelings are mutual. You guys do me a solid. All the links for Defender will be down in the description, and I'll make sure Badlands adds the original DOTR for TikTok for all you guys. And remember, Devolution Power Hour is coming up in just a few minutes, so go refill your drinks, go get your popcorn, and we'll see you there in the live chat. You guys, God bless, Semper Fi. Katie, don't leave just yet, because I want to ask you something on the way out. For the rest of you guys, be in the live chat.